Welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now with Jon Rothstein. Pleased to be joined by Illinois head coach Brad Underwood. And Brad, welcome. And I want to get to one topic out of the gate that, quite frankly, you've ignored in every media appearance you've done so far this season. What is your step count daily now that games have began?
It's up probably 12 to 16,000. So it's okay. It's okay. It's all wind related here.
Yeah.
When the wind blows, that means I walk on a treadmill, so I don't get as many in when I walk on the treadmill because I don't like the treadmill very much. But when it's nice and the wind's not blowing, I'll go outside in any temperature and I'll walk for days.
And I know that walking during the pandemic years ago changed your life, but also changing your life was becoming the head coach at Illinois. Has the job been even more fulfilling than you anticipated when you took the post in 2017?
It's now what I thought it was. I knew it was a really good job. I spent 10 years at Western Illinois, and you saw the power of high school basketball in the state. Little small towns, sellouts. The state tournaments at that time were 2 classes. You couldn't find a ticket. It was awesome. There were players in every nook and cranny of the state, and Illinois was it. I mean, it was Lon, it was Bill. We were just coming off of Lou Henson's run,
right?
And it just became pretty cool to be in the state at that time, and so I knew what it could become. I don't know why the lull happened. Bruce obviously took him to the Final Four, but great athletic director, great administration. The facilities have been done in a way that now we're second to nobody. So it's sellout crowds and student tickets sold out in 18 minutes this year. So it's in a great place and a great staff and right where it should be, I think.
And Brad, you were very open throughout your career that Illinois was a destination job for you, and you've talked about that even more after you were hired. I'm curious why this particular job, when you were coming up in your coaching career, was the job that you looked at as a destination job.
Yeah, I just knew it. And it's not that there's not other really good jobs out there. There are a lot of them. I just knew this one. I knew the power basketball was important in this state, and we hated to play games at Western Illinois on the same night the Illini played because we didn't have any fans. They all came to Champaign. So it was just the fact that I knew how good it could become. I knew how good the players in the state, how good the coaching was, but how important it was, and we have the longest standing athletic banquet, in over 100 years. We missed it during COVID, but it's just it's really important here, and I was aware of that.
And you've achieved incredible consistency over the last half decade. You've been a single-digit seed in the NCAA tournament for the last 5 NCAA tournaments. How have you made Illinois such a consistent program?
Yeah, I think it's really good staff, really good players. I think we've identified, we've changed. Actually, we've changed a lot. Going from Trent and Io to Trent Frazier, Io DeSumo, and then all of a sudden we add Kofi, a dominant center, to now positional size, shooting, obviously very big in the European market. But and that's been fun for me to do that. So I think it's a really good job. It's intriguing. It's in my opinion the best basketball league in the country. That sells itself. And when you've got 15,600 every night, and you've got a brand new practice facility that's second to none, there's a lot to draw to.
And one thing, too, that should be pointed out during this half-decade run of consistency is retention has not always been there at the highest of percentages. You've shuffled a lot of new players in year to year. I'm curious, how much does your background in junior college coming up really help you in this climate adapt to new personnel?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think it's made me. I truly do love freshmen. I mean, we start two of them now, and we started two last year. I think you build your program with freshmen, and you do want the retention of that. I do think age wins, and I think that's important, having that experience, but not being afraid to change, having the same core values of what is important in our program. We've been really dialed in on character. I want character, not characters.
Yeah.
We want guys who solve problems. We want guys that have basketball IQ and feel. That part hasn't changed. But maybe the X's and O's have been tweaked a little bit to fit that model. And that was something we had to do in junior college every year.
Well, you mentioned the word change, and you definitely changed your philosophy somewhat in recruiting when you decided to go heavier in the international market. When was the moment that Brad Underwood had the epiphany that said, we're going to go heavier into the international market?
John, we've always been in it a little bit because of Orlando Antigua. And then left and went back with Cal at Kentucky. And then Jeff Alexander really dove in hard. And we were getting players, but we weren't getting the top shelf guys. And NIL helped that. In all honesty, it opened up that market. But the job that those guys did, and then coming back, and then just the ability to have the relationships, and now with NIL being able to help lure some of those kids. They fit me. I love their personality. I love the skill set. Again, we were in a world of positional size and shooting, and you get Kasparis as a 6'6" guard. You get Will Riley. You get Tomislav, a 7'1" center that can really shoot it. And we've just kept trying to develop that. And I love those guys. They love to play basketball. Yeah. They love to work at basketball. And that's very refreshing, and it's nice to have on your team because it becomes very contagious.
You know, Brad, we've seen other programs in college basketball at the power conference level try to go heavy into the international market, and some of those programs don't always hit on their recruits like Illinois has hit. What do you need to see as a head coach to be 100% sold that the guy you're taking internationally is going to work for you and work in the Big Ten and not be in the portal the following year?
Yeah, and I think our style of play has helped. Tyler Underwood, Tyler's taken over our offense. We've become very NBA-like, so to speak, with the 5 out. And it becomes a big skill, pass, dribble, shoot, but it's also problem solving. And it's about the little things that they do, setting screens and the angles they set screens, and their IQ is so important to us. So we dive very hard into that piece when we evaluate and look. Then as you get to talk to them, you find out how competitive they are or not competitive. And we gather a lot of intel. To say we won't miss, sure we will. Everybody does. But we've been very fortunate, and it's a good group of guys on my staff that do a really good job of digging deep on the intel.
And it obviously helps when your program wins at a high level and you can sell that to these prospective recruits. And, a couple of years ago, you guys were 1 win away from playing in the Final Four. You lost to the UConn team that won the national title. All coaches have told me, Brad, in doing this now 20 years, that the hardest game to lose is the Elite Eight because you're 1 win away from being in an elite fraternity. I know that you lost the game as an assistant at K-State with Frank Martin, the Butler. Yeah. But when you go through it as a head coach, what is the feeling like about coming up short in the Elite Eight?
Yeah, it stinks. It's not fun. And I guess the one thing that I'll say about it was we did lose to the defending national champions, and I mean that team was so special, and I there's nobody that was ever a bigger Donovan Clingan fan than me after playing against him.
Right.
Yeah, it's not easy. You're right there. It made it very, very tough to watch the Final Four because I felt like we were a Final Four team that just happened to lose to the national champions. But yeah, I just keep my whole motivation is just to get back. We have to find a way to stay consistent. You stay consistent long enough, you'll get some breaks, and it'll go your way, and that's all we're trying to do.
Well, and then let's get to the team that you're coaching right now. Your thoughts on the undefeated start?
It's been good. I'm really proud of them, to be honest. We have Monday was the first, Saturday was the first day we've had our entire team in practice. And it was Sunday. We took Saturday off after the Friday Colgate game. That's been nice. Just to have Mirkovic, Petrovic, and Stojakovic on the court together, because we didn't have Mirk, we didn't have Petro all summer. They were not here. And then Andre went down the first week of school. So it's just nice to see our group as a whole. I'm still figuring out all the pieces and how they'll work. And to have Tomislav actually doing some stuff in practice who got hurt, and he's had just a tough fall with his tonsils removed and everything else. So I like our start. I like where we're at. We beat a really, really good Texas Tech team, and truly one of the best players in the country in Toppin. He was special that night. But it doesn't get any easier. I like our group. I like our ceiling, and yet there's still a lot of unknowns.
Well, it should be pointed out, too, that you beat a really good Texas Tech team, and you were not whole yourself. You've had a number of players out so far this season, most notably Tomislav Ivisic. What is his timeline for a potential return?
Good question. Everything with him is, because it's a knee, is the reaction, and he's got a bone bruise, so it becomes a reaction to what he does that day in practice. A very similar situation to what Andrej Stojakovic had, and we were fortunate that it wasn't more severe. We feel good about the way he's progressing. Tommy's a very, very, very tough kid. And so I know no one's more competitive. No one wants to be out there more than him. But we'll see. We'll see. He's doing light stuff and moving around better now than he was 2 or 3 days ago. And again, he did more here in the last in this morning's practice than he did yesterday, and we'll see how he reacts.
If he were able to react okay, Brad, is there a chance you think he could go Wednesday against Alabama?
Potentially. It'll be a game time decision. I think we're in a better spot with Petrovic now. I think we've let that hamstring go long enough, and he's had a productive couple days. It's the first time and since the first 2 practices, he's gone through an entire practice the last 2 days. Brandon Lee, same thing, had a very high ankle sprain, and he was playing great. He played great in our exhibitions and scrimmages, and unfortunately caught a foot and had a very, very severe ankle sprain. He's not 100%, but was in practice. So, it's nice just to get bodies back out in practice and not have managers and coaches fitting in there.
Well, and Petrovic has kind of been this man of mystery because he comes in with obviously a great feel and a great pedigree, but we haven't seen him play yet against, real competition. When he's healthy and he joins 2 guys we're going to get to in a second here, Kylan Boswell, Keaton Wagler, what are we going to see from Petrovic?
I don't know. I wish I knew. Speed, he's got a different gear than most guys. He's very, very crafty. He's a great decision maker in ball screens. He's a guy that plays off of his change of pace. His speed in the open court is something that we haven't had maybe since Trent Frazier. But he's got another gear. He's a very good finisher at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see how that plays in. And again, it's just building the chemistry with our guys. And when you've missed as much practice as he's missed, that's what I worry about. And the other side of the ball, the defensive side, just the chemistry on that side.
Well, the good thing is you have somebody sturdy in place to anchor that backcourt, obviously, until Petrovic gets acclimated, and that's Kylan Boswell, who is really a bit undersold nationally, but through the first 2 weeks of the season, I think unequivocally the two best guards in the Big Ten have been Kylan Boswell and Braden Smith. Why do you think he's evolved so much from the end of last season to what we've seen so far this year?
Well, I appreciate you saying that because nobody else does. Gosh darn, I don't know how you have a 4-year guy that is more underappreciated nationally than Kai. I mean, Bam is so physically gifted, strong, tough, experienced. I think he's much more comfortable in our system now than he was a year ago. I give him so much credit for his season last year. Everyone makes a big deal about, well, he didn't shoot it very well. Well, he was new too. Yeah. And he was playing with a lot of freshmen and a lot of newcomers. We had 11 new guys. And he really blossomed at the end of the year. And he just took that into a great summer, a great off season. He's shooting the heck out of the ball now. And he's getting to the foul line, a guy that, and there's no better coach in the country than Tommy Lloyd, but they play different than we do. He got to the foul line 40 times in a season there. We're trying to get him close to 200.
Right.
And he's doing that. So he's playing through contact. He's strong. And then I think he's as good a on-ball defender as there is in college basketball.
Why has he blended so well with Keaton Wagler here?
Bam is an unbelievable teacher. He's going to be a great coach someday. Mm-hmm. He did it with Kasparas last year. He's not intimidated. He's not. He understands what good is, and he knows those guys are good. They're very different. Keaton's a change of pace. I kind of compare him to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in terms of his, he kind of kills you with slow motion sometimes and his change of pace. He's a very good shooter. He's very headsy in terms of his decision-making in the paint. And Bam has done an unbelievable job of teaching him some of the nuances of our system, but also the game and what to expect. And he's probably helped him more on the defensive side than the offensive side. And so that's a tribute to Kylan and his leadership.
Brad, adjusting to your system is a real thing. I've been in your practices. I know the treadmill is in the gym for a reason. Yeah. And I was curious, obviously, what it would be like for Andrej Stojakovic to go from being a high usage guy at Stanford and Cal to a program that's won at a high level. How much in the dialogue when you were recruiting him did you talk about being obviously a piece of the pie, but obviously now having to sacrifice a little bit because he's at a winning program?
Yeah, that was the whole conversation. It's amazing. That's what he wanted. The conversations were all about, finding that balance, finding that, opportunities to go blossom and play with other guys and trust other guys and be a part of that. And that's not a knock on anybody. He had a hard summer, to be very honest with you. And it was challenging and, shot selection and trusting that you're playing with Tommy and Z and Mirkovic, guys who can space the floor and you don't have to take tough shots 7 seconds into the shot clock. You got to play through that. And the thing I miss the most is that he's got an ability to be an elite defender. And with his knee injury, he missed all of fall. And my whole goal this fall was to harden him, to toughen him on that side, to get him dialed in to become that. And he wants to be a next level guy. People you guard at that level are all elite. And I think he's got a chance. He did a great job in his first game back against Christian Anderson from Tech. It's not going to get any easier, but we missed that time. But he wants that. He's an unbelievable kid who's got great passion to become a great player.
I would be remiss if I did not ask you about David Mirkovic, who, again, I saw in one of your exhibition games, and your eyes pop out of your head a little bit, but he's obviously carried that over to the regular season. How has he not just adjusted to college basketball, but adjusted and produced with video game-like numbers out of the gate here?
Yeah, it's been the game's very slow for him. He is mature beyond his years, crazy skilled. And we see the fact that he was a point guard until late in his life. But I would love to take credit for his footwork and his passing. The coaches before him have been phenomenal. The teaching, the instincts, the genetics. But he just has an uncanny ability to play very slow, and he's not the quickest guy in the world. He's not going to kill you with his vertical, but he is very athletic. He can really slide his feet. He can move, and then he's just an unbelievable competitor. And I challenged him. I was all over him for the 2 days leading into the Colgate game about his rebounding in the Tech game, and he goes out and gets 21. So. He cares about winning, and he's too unselfish sometimes, but there's nothing he can't do on the court, shooting it, passing it, and dribbling it.
And he'll be showcased along with the rest of your program Wednesday night in Chicago against Alabama at the United Center. You know, Brad, one of the things that you've really done with Illinois is you have played in the highest of high-profile non-conference games, and it's not just going to be this week for you guys. You're coming to the Garden to play UConn on Black Friday next week. There's also a game against Tennessee and Nashville. You've played them the last couple of years. They always seem like they go down to the final possession. As a coach, how invigorating is it to play a non-conference schedule like this?
Oh, I love it. I would play all of them like that. I'd do away with bye games. I think we should. I think it's one of the areas the basketball can continue to grow is expand and play more games like this. And the Tech game was phenomenal. We had an incredible atmosphere here, and we get to go do it. We're going back to Chicago for the next 3 years. We'll have the return of UConn and Tennessee in the next couple of years back in the United Center and marquee opponents. And it's been great for our program. It's been great for our fans. If you want to win a national championship, you better play those people.
Yeah.
Obviously we do that in the league, but I'm very big on finding out who we are, finding out what our warts are so we can identify them early. But you're doing that against an Alabama team on Wednesday night that, Nate has done an incredible job there in his tenure. And, they stress you in different ways than maybe we've been stressed. So I'm all for that.
I know you've devoured the tape of when Alabama put up 103 on St. John's at the Garden. I was at the game. It was an incredible performance. Your initial assessment on trying to slow down the troika of Aiden Holloway, obviously LeBaron Philon, and Latrell Wrightsell.
Yeah, I don't think you slow them down. I think you hope to just make them as difficult as you can. Those three guys are lethal. I think that the job that Purdue did the other night and did a great job on the glass, controlled tempo. You can't have crazy turnovers against them. We turned it over too much against them last year in the game in Birmingham. But those three are elite, and we've got our hands full there, and you've got to handle that pace, and they've got deep range. They get it to the rim, and shot selection is a big deal for Nate, and they're going to take 40 of them. So they just have to be hard and contested.
Brad, in doing this as long as I have, I'm always fascinated how coaches always harp on tough losses more than they appreciate great wins. So I'm curious, for Brad Underwood, give me one great win that always seems to resonate throughout your career, and give me one tough loss that you can just never forget.
Well, the great win is my game at Stephen F. Austin against VCU.
Yeah.
Down 4 with 10 seconds to go and have a 4-point play to tie it.
Yeah.
And it was the school's first NCAA tournament win. You remember those things, Desmond Heyman in the shot. There's a close second there. One of my dear friends and mentors, Bob Huggins, beating his team in Brooklyn. We were a 14 seed. And watching Thomas Walkup go to work in that one. I've got 2 losses I remember vaguely. One, I was an assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Drew, triple overtime, Western Illinois versus Valparaiso to go to the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
And Bryce hit a shot that broke our back, and then the Loyola loss.
Yeah.
We were a 1 seed and just played awful. Yep. And that's not to take credit away from them, but those are the ones that sting I thought that team was a really, really good team that had a chance, and just that night we weren't very good.
And that was a team in 2021 that won the Big Ten tournament, was a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And then, 3 years later, you're in the Elite Eight, as we talked about, with a chance to play UConn for the right to go to the Final Four. Why can maybe this team eventually showcase some of the same abilities later in the season that those 2 teams did?
Yeah, experience. I think we're an old team. I think this team has enough size that we can be different as we continue to grow. And again, we've got 2 freshmen playing at a really high level, and our experiences are the guys that have been hurt. So I think as we continue to elevate those guys and work those guys back in, I think that can. We've got a chance. And again, we're going to be seasoned. We'll be hardened in the Big Ten. I think it's as good as the league's ever been. But again, it's the beauty of the NCAA tournament. You can't play bad. Or you get upset. And there's more parity than ever in college basketball. But I like this team's chances to really make a deep run in March.
Well, Brad, it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. Appreciate a couple minutes as always. Looking forward to Wednesday against Alabama. And as always, look forward to staying connected along the way.
You bet. Thanks, John.
You got it. That's Illinois head coach Brad Underwood. I'm Jon Rothstein, and this is Inside College Basketball Now.